I have attended many carpet and textile conferences and fairs over the past 20 years. In 2001, I traveled on a craft and textile-oriented tour of Uzbekistan, and I visited the museums and bazaars in Tashkent, Bukhara, and Samarkand, including Urgut, and saw the ikat dyeing and weaving process in Margalan, and I started collecting. By the way, I also have the collector gene. Either you have this gene and its addiction, or you do not, and I am an addict. One day, I saw a beautiful Shahrizab Suzani hidden in a pile of carpets at a local Los Angeles auction house, and I got my own start in collecting Uzbek textiles. When I was shopping for a new house in 2004, the first thing I noticed was that there was a perfect wall in the dining room that was large enough to hang a full-sized Suzani. I rotate my textiles on display every 3 or 4 months, according to the season, and I have 3 different red Suzanis for Christmas time when I do a lot of entertaining. In my living room, this special fragment of a velvet ikat or bagmal was purchased on eBay, an online auction website, and it inspired the main colors of my home: red, blue, gold, and white. Here is my bedroom with a spectacular Lakai horse caparison hung over the bed, which reminds me of a paper cutout collage by the French Fauve artist Henri Matisse. It is a very happy textile. The bed cover is new production Uzbek ikat that I had specially assembled in Istanbul. There is some Uzbek jewelry in my collection and a lot of peshkurtas, or the trims from kurtas, here on display in a local museum exhibition at the Los Angeles Craft and Folk Art Museum. Also displayed in that exhibition were some of my ilgich or aynakaltas. I have 6 or 7 parangis. This parangi on the right, made of a beautiful metallic copper and silver brocade, was displayed in the same exhibition along with my child's brocade coat. Earlier this year, I was invited by the Bowers Museum of Cultural Art in Santa Ana in Southern California to present my ikat collection on live models. My colleague Richard Isaacson from Washington, D.C. gave a talk first called A Brief History of Ikat, so that the audience understood how ikat is made. I showed 50 of my garments, both kurtas and chapans, on the models, including the cotton linings on the chapans, with close-up photos of the coats projected above the stage, so that the audience sitting in the back rows of the auditorium could see the patterns. All of the live models were volunteers from the museum's Collectors Council, a support group for the museum. So they were not professional models, but nonetheless very enthusiastic, including the children. More than 300 people bought tickets to see this program on a Sunday afternoon at the museum, and the auditorium was sold out, to the complete shock and surprise of the museum director, who had asked, "Who will come to such a program?" when it was originally proposed. Whenever I handle one of my antique Uzbek textiles, sometimes to show it to fellow textile collectors, or to a friend or a group, sometimes to repair it or to sew on a mounting so that I can hang it up for display, I feel connected across time and space to the original Uzbek artisans from 100 or more years ago. Their hands touched this same textile as they tied it, dyed it, wove it, knotted it, or embroidered it. And they could never have imagined that someone more than a century later, on the other side of the world and from a completely different culture, would love and appreciate the beauty of their art and handiwork. I encourage the institutions and collectors who've been invited today to participate in this cultural history project to do so. In this way, the people of Uzbekistan can begin to discover, appreciate, and love their own material culture, especially the beautiful textiles and costumes of their ancestors, and will be able to understand the contemporary appreciation of these artifacts by the rest of the world. Thank you.